is Meet the Candidate 2021, and this morning I'm welcoming Tyler LeMasters, who is running for Spokane City Council, position 2.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on Thanks for having me on the show.
Glad you could be here. Very simple format. Just let me know about where you grew up. What did you learn in your childhood?
Yeah, I grew up all over the world, actually. All over the world, states, military family. I ended up in Spokane 15 years ago. My dad was squadron commander at Fairchild Air Force Base. And so that's what brought me here. Yeah, that did teach me a lot. We could talk about that for a long time, but being exposed to different areas and countries taught me a lot about people. So, yeah.
Yeah, a military lifestyle is a different culture, and does give you a lot of opportunities. What was the most interesting place that you lived?
Interesting is a funny word. It's
it is. It's purposefully
I lived in
big.
Japan. I've lived in China. I've lived in Italy, Spain. But I honestly, the places that were most interesting are regular places like Kansas and Oklahoma, and the smaller town sort of thing was, they've got their own cultures over there. So
they do. So in all of that moving around, did you have an opportunity to get any first jobs as a kid that were interesting to you?
First jobs. I've always been an entrepreneur. So the first job I ever really had was mowing lawns. And that's funny. I didn't know you were going to ask me something like that. That's great. I love talking about this. So my first job was mowing lawns. I started with my house. My dad got a lawnmower and he said I had to pay the lawnmower back, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went out, I pushed the lawnmower miles, just going door to door with these flyers I printed out and saying, I'll mow your lawn for $20. And I ended up getting 9 customers. So I was mowing 9 yards a week for $20 at least a pop. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think I should have just kept doing that. I would have been a millionaire by now.
Well, the first rule of entrepreneurship is find something that somebody else doesn't want to do that you can, and then charge them for it.
All right, there you go.
You discovered that rule early then.
Yeah, definitely.
So what kind of education and training have you applied yourself to?
Well, I got my bachelor's from Azusa Pacific University down in Los Angeles, biblical studies. I was studying to be a pastor, and so that was my route. I actually started my MDiv at Fuller Theological Seminary, and education is very important to me. I think my education has been really good, but honestly, I've continued it since graduating, which was almost 10 years ago now. I read about 24 books a year on history, philosophy, politics, economics. You got to keep learning. There's so much. You just can't do the 4 years and then it's a lifelong endeavor. So
I totally agree on lifelong learning. So with all that background, what are you doing now if you're not mowing lawns?
I'm a realtor now. So I sell houses to people. I've got a couple side hustles as well. That's my career. I also worked in the House of Representatives for about a year and a half. I handled a legislative policy portfolio for Eastern Washington, out in Washington, D.C. Included small business, nonprofits, animal rights, oversight, which is mail-in ballots sort of things. And we did that during COVID. So it was one of the more intense experiences of my life. But I think we did a good job at taking care of the community during that very difficult time. Yeah.
So with all that background, what inspired you to step up to run for public office? Not everybody does that.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that the city is dying. And the council is directly responsible for that. I think they're made up of good people, but they've failed to address the issues that we're facing. And at this point, they're just responding to problems that they created. Our housing market is out of control. Our homelessness is in crisis mode, and our small businesses are failing. We've had over 130 small businesses fail this year alone. And, it's just crazy. To me, if you're an incumbent in the city council, I don't care who you are, we should be taking a hard look at your time here in the city, because everything has not worked. And so we should be looking for a fresh perspective, and I think I definitely am that.
Okay, well, that's the bringing us up to that wrap up where you get to answer the question directly.
Okay.
Why should people vote for Tyler LeMasters for Spokane City Council?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, we do need a fresh perspective in the city. We need to address Spokane issues in a nonpartisan way. We need to, open up regulations and zoning for the city, encourage development. We need to be effective with the funding for homelessness. We need sound economics when it comes to homelessness to protect those small businesses that I talked about. We need leaders. And so it's very important, maybe more so than other years, that people bring in some new, fresh faces, because our city is growing. We're a small town turning into a big city, and our future is coming no matter what. Change is coming no matter what. We have to embrace it. We have to be looking forward. So hopefully people will vote for me. I'm running on the South Hill, downtown, Browns Addition, Eagles Ridge. And yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
Okay, well, that was Tyler LeMasters, Spokane City Council candidate. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
What does it mean to be awake? It means to truly understand the issues facing us and actively participate as a citizen in this country. One way you can do that is by voting your values based on the Word of God. We believe We Vote has done the research and provides you the information you need to make an informed decision on which candidates will champion our values and work for us. Now is the time to rise up, get involved, and vote. WeBelieveWeVote.com.
Hello, Spokane. This is Governor Mike Huckabee. I'm going to be speaking at We Believe, We Vote's October 2nd fundraiser. It's more important than ever for Christians to come together and to vote. I'm looking forward to seeing you on October the 2nd of this year. For tickets to the event, go to WeBelieveWeVote.com.